Hi, are we live?
Yes, I
How are
think so.
you?
I'm all right. How have you been?
Horrible.
Oh dear. Why?
I'm just, no, I'm just horrible. I didn't, it's just the problem the way I set up my life. Like, I told you, I should have just worried about being gay and having sex and not have gotten diverged into all these other things and also marrying a monogamist. It's very hard for me to even though I'm allowed to go out and have sex, it's very hard to find somebody who has a house that you can have sex in, who's available, who isn't in a relationship themselves that they have to hide and all this other kind of stuff. If I could just have my house open, I could just invite people here and I could have sex all day, but my husband won't let me do that. So I have no like access to constant sex, so I'm constantly frustrated and I don't want to sublimate it. I just want to destroy everything that got in the way of me having that lifestyle. Like I should have been a porn star, but I didn't become one because I was too scared. Because, I thought about what society would think about me and what if people found out and all this and that. And so, I really missed out. And because I was scared. And so I want to make sure that these types of prohibitions or these types of problems aren't there anymore. I'm sick of going into a gay chat room and nobody can share pictures because they're all scared to let anyone know they're gay. You know what I mean? And I'm tired of that. I want to go to a gay chat room and like everybody shares pictures right away because nobody cares if anyone finds out that they're gay, and all this monogamy shit. People don't want to be monogamous. I'm tired of people trapped in monogamous marriages that go out and have sex with on the side, but you have to do it all like sneaky and quiet and hiding and scared and all this other kind of shit. There's
Doesn't
just
that
so
make it
many.
more exciting?
No, it makes it very difficult for anyone to have sex. It makes it very difficult to have any kind of thing, even if you do have sex, to have anything beyond sex, any kind of deeper meaning relationship, because they can barely give you sex because they barely have time to give you that. They're too messed up to give you anything more than that. So
Well,
so
but I think
no,
you're very fortunate in that you're in a stable relationship. I mean, we
well,
can't
yeah.
have everything, can we? We
Well,
can't
I
have.
could have everything if I was allowed to bring people over and have sex with them, then yes, I could have everything.
Well, that wouldn't really be what you want. I mean, they might, you know.
Yes, it is. What are you talking about? This is exactly what I
I
want.
Well, it's too late now, so I guess you'll just have to get used to it. I mean, you're in a relationship, and it would be terrible if you got, turned your home, your matrimonial home, I might add, into a knocking shop. And also, what would happen if you had children? What
Well,
if you
right now
were a
I don't have
dad?
children. I don't have children, and if I did have children, my house would be big enough that I had a separate area that I would bring random men in there, okay? I wouldn't like necessarily bring random men into the middle of the house or something like that. I don't know. But you know, I'd have to like figure out a way.
It's completely unrealistic. I mean, aren't there any, if you like that sort of thing, what about gay brothels? Do such a
Yeah,
thing
I know they all
exist?
suck. It's hard to find them. It's not like these gay sex clubs. You go into them, there's barely anyone in them, and it's all fucked up. And it's just if society needs to be structured differently so that none of these inhibitors are in the way. Everyone's inhibited. Everyone has all these inhibitions, and it's very hard to kind of live a life, and the monogamists make it worse, and they're all fucking hypocrites. They're all total fucking hypocrites, the monogamists. They all have sex behind their spouse's back, and then the only person they don't want having sex is their spouse. They can go out and have sex all they want.
Well, I suppose in a way that kind of mirrors heterosexual people, but maybe if you weren't so sex obsessed, you might, just be happy enough, right? I mean, if you
I
weren't
want to
sort of
be sex
focusing
obsessed.
on sex the whole time.
I want to be sex obsessed. I just The problem is
But you're
I'm not the
better
problem.
than that, aren't you? I mean, you have a brain.
Well, yeah, and I use that too, but I also want sex.
Yes, but you already have a husband. Can't you have sex with him?
No.
Why not? I've heard of, what was it called? Lesbian sex bed death. I think that was the expression used for that sort of thing. But then I suppose you get heterosexual bed death too after a while, maybe. And I suppose, there are other things for you to do. I don't know, what do heterosexual people do? They play bridge, they play golf, they find other interests that don't get them into trouble.
How boring. I don't want to be a heterosexual.
But don't you see the need to subliminate your sexual desires? You read
No,
that.
I don't. I think people need to get the fuck out of my way, and the whole society needs to be reorganized so that people like me are happy, and people that aren't like me are unhappy. That's what I want society to be, so that people like me are running around having sex, and all the people like you are just sitting around all grumpy and angry that we're having sex, and you can't do anything about it. That's what I want.
Well, I don't mind you having sex. I mean,
Well, you would be unhappy if, you know, society were more working in my direction and every man was
but
free to
it
go out and
already
fuck.
is. It already is. I
No,
mean,
oh God, no, I'm tired of, I don't want to hear any more peak global homo. If I go into a gay chat room and every single man won't show his face because he's scared, then don't tell me that it's just so, everything is so open. It's not. If all of these secret, I mean, there's hordes of secret gay men everywhere, and they're all pent up, and they're not like in the system for me, okay? There's like lots of men that are actually gay but are too scared to come out, and so they sleep with their wives only, and I miss the opportunity of sleeping with them. Okay?
oh, there was a question on the tip of my tongue. It's gone out of my head now. Okay, perhaps it'll come back about. I know it's something. Oh yes. So, okay, okay, you're looking for a sex partner on Tinder or something. Surely at some point you get to see what they look like. So what's a complaint?
No, well, I'm not using Tinder. It's a chat room, but like everyone in that chat room. But Grindr's the same. Everyone has a boyfriend that won't let them have anyone over the house, and everyone is married, and everyone doesn't live alone, and it's impossible. It's like impossible to find anyone. Half of them are in the closet, you know what I mean? And it's very difficult to deal with.
Oh really? I mean, I thought. Um, well, I don't know. You find somebody and they think you're okay, and then you chat, and then you show each other your pictures, and then you meet, and have sex. Isn't that?
Yeah,
But
well,
what?
it's not that easy. It's not that easy. It's just not that easy. You know what I mean? It's just not that easy.
So so what are gay? What are the gay chat rooms? I mean, isn't it a one-to-one thing or not?
No, it's like a big chat room and you chat in there and you type what you want and then people message you and you're like, I want to do this and such, and then people text you and they're like, oh, I want to do that too.
Okay. And what people don't respond, or they say things like "not with you," or
Well, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they don't respond, and they have nothing to say. And sometimes they do respond, and but like none of them, almost all of them, are too scared to show their pics. I can't find anyone to talk to even because I'm not gonna just I'm not gonna just start sexting forever with someone I don't know what they look like because I don't want to spend all this time sexting with them and then see their picture and find out I'm disgusted by them. Like, I don't want to. Hold on. Wait, hold on. Somebody's calling me. Hold on one second.
sure. Well, I didn't know it was going to be that hard for gay people. I thought, in the way of, turnover of sex partners, gay people would have it really easy. And it was always, heterosexual people who complain about, you know, or the, what do they complain about? Yeah. I mean, what's that thing? Oh, yeah, it's catfishing. So you get people pretending to be someone, and I don't know. But maybe maybe it's good to hear that the people that you expect to have the most sex are also finding it frustrating. I mean, as you can see, I mean, Vincent is not a bad-looking character, is he? He's all right. I mean, he showed himself, and he's not fat or anything. And I forgot to ask him about his job interview. But that's the thing. I think you can distract yourself. You don't have to be having sex the whole time, and you don't have to be, well, upset that you can't.
Hello?
Yes, hello.
Hello?
Yes, can you
Oh, that
hear
was about
me?
a job interview. I have a job interview on. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, and I was reminded of. Well, I was saying that you're a good-looking fellow, and I know because I saw you before you went to your job interview the other day. How did that go?
That went really well, actually.
Good. But they haven't offered you the job, or what?
Not yet, no. They said they had one more interview after me, and I have a second interview, so let's hope that works.
Yes. And you have another job interview coming up. What is it for? Would you like to tell us?
It's like in a lab. It's like in a account.
Oh, you were roboting. I didn't hear what you were saying.
No, I was just looking at the money in my account for a second. Yeah, so it's a job interview at a lab, doing something in a lab. So
Is that more the kind of
so
thing you want because of your background in science and maths?
maybe, yes, we'll see. We'll see. But
Well, I'm glad it went really well, and well, I mean, I think you'd be pleased if you got the job. But what did you think of the conversation yesterday on the Valley stream? I mean, I thought it'd be a good idea to introduce you to British people.
yeah, I know but all these like okay, I whenever you send me these streams like of all these circles that you run, it's very hard for me to listen because they're too philosophical and they're too not about doing anything in this world. It's all like, he wanted to talk about whether God exists or not and all this, he started getting into all the religious bullshit about, oh, isn't it good that we're good? God makes us do good. And, you don't need God to do good. I don't want to sit there and talk to a religious person about whether or not God exists. That's not my interest or anything like that. And I also I don't have a lot of patience for people sitting around and complaining about the way things are without, I always have an agenda, and I'm always like writing an article about something to do or making political cartoons or I'm always involved in some kind of project, to change things like, legalizing incest, legalizing polygamy, legalizing suicide rights, like these types of things. And that's just not where they come from. Everything is, reminiscing about the past and why we're here and who's doing this and who's doing that and whose fault is this and whose fault is that. And, you know,
Yeah. I mean, I suppose I mean, if you're low level enough, you can only complain. No, you don't expect anybody to listen to any solution that you might propose. I think it's kind of low expectations, and then maybe they just get angry with you for thinking, who are you to think that anybody is going to listen to your silly ideas about, your solution to the problems. I think, I mean, for me, it's a lot of that. It's like, how dare you? We don't even think of solutions. We only whinge and play the blame game. But, who are you to come here and tell us what you think, what the solution is? Fuck off and die, and, that kind of thing.
No, well, they don't have one, and it's just repetitive conversation over and over and over again. They and they bitch about each other. A lot of a lot of their conversation is about other people. A lot of the conversations like, oh well, so and so said this and so said that. Very kind of like, in the bigger scheme of things, what so and so said is not like the biggest deal. I think what's more important is world events and what's going on, and actual like things to change the world. And it's just very hard for me to listen to them because they don't ever get into that, and a lot of it's just like silly. They're always joking. They really are very big on getting their jokes in. Like they think they're so funny and so creative, and that's the main point of their life is to put in a joke.
Yes, I think it was Sir John Glubb who said that frivolity is a sign of decadence. I mean, they make a joke of everything because I guess they sort of think it's out of their hands. They can't do anything, so they might as well joke about all kinds of things, including the end of their civilization. But I think Jen Wallace was a little concerned because she was talking about her daughter who was in the seventh grade being taught transgenderism and pronouns and things.
Jan Sharf.
Jen Wallace, who is Buddhist and white, I think she has a biracial child, and she's American, and she came on obviously before you, and the earlier parts of the stream were also quite interesting because they were saying, well, what can we do? Because okay, it was just at the beginning was just a bunch of men complaining about this transgenderism thing, and they said, well, we can't really do anything because the law keeps changing and the law is imposed from above, and and actually I haven't listened to it yet, and they were talking about a video they'd just seen, but I thought, I mean, and then I wasn't, in the stream, but I thought, well, this is my opportunity to rush in with my solution of secular Quranism, and that really annoying why so religious came up, and you can almost time and hours, his distractions. Like you didn't use the word correctly. You didn't really mean, what you meant when you said this word, and crap like that. So,
Oh, he gets into the definitions and I know these people. I know, and yeah, that when people get into that, where every single you can't have a conversation because they need to sit and settle the definition for everything. Like nothing is there's no such thing as like a common consensus on a word according to these people. It's just like, well, what do you mean by that word? Define this. And the whole conversation becomes about defining terms, and you get nowhere. And they're just
I don't mind defining terms because actually it's quite important because, okay, in a discussion about idolatry between Christians and Jews and Muslims, it's vitally important because if you don't get it right, Christians will think that what they do is okay. So in such a situation, the definition becomes vitally important. But Christians
wait.
don't.
Can you just hold 1 second? I need to make a phone call. Just stay on the thing, but I'll be right back.
All right.
Okay. Okay, hold on.
So runes.
Yeah,
Tips.
you were talking about definitions, but
Do you want to continue the conversation now, or are you telling me to? Okay, I'm going to talk to the chat. So, well, Rune's Skitzing, who says Vincent Bruno ought to arrange one of those nasty parties. Good cash flow, but actually he's not allowed to do that, so he can't. I'm telling him to sublimate his sexual urges, and I think that's good advice.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah. So,
So,
so yeah, but the terms and definitions, but at some point it just becomes and then they want everything, if it they want all the definitions the way they have the definitions because they can win the argument if they, I mean, that, well, the definition of this is this, so that means I win the argument, and they always come up with their own special, unique definitions. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
they,
I've been accused of doing that as well. But yeah, I think the definitions are important because that's the only way you can agree on what you're actually arguing about. Otherwise, you'd be arguing about different
well, I mean,
things.
you come up with your own definition when I mean, I don't know if you come up with your own definitions, but I think you come up with, you know, okay, like you always say, well, Islam is Noahidism and secular Quranism is Islam light, and is based on the Quran, so therefore it's Noahide compliant. Like, but secular Quranism is different, is fundamentally different from Islam. So to just say, well, secular Quranism is a new form of Sharia, so therefore it's Noahide compliant, it doesn't, because you've removed secular Quranism isn't Islam. So even if Islam is Noahide compliant, which it's not, but if it was, that doesn't mean that secular Quranism is Noahide compliant.
Well, at a stretch, it could be because I'm saying that secular, how I interpret the Quran, should be the way everybody ought to interpret the Quran, and if that were accepted, then I would be, or secular Quranism would actually have higher status than their kind of Islam. But so it's all about status.
I
It's all
might
about
black out for a
definitions.
se-
Okay.
I might black out for a second.
I know you're a bit windy. You were a bit windy. So yeah, definitions are important, and sometimes it is necessary to spend hours and hours and hours talking about these things until you can get the other side to agree. I remember when I was talking to Jen Sharp, and she was saying things like, we can't debate this because our axioms do not agree.
Yeah, I know, but yeah, I know they bring you to a point where you can't even have a common sense debate. They bring you to a point where you can't even debate them anymore because, their terms and definitions are so unique and so. Oh shoot! Oh, the
Oh,
store is closed. Shit, I have to go to the back. The store's closed.
what are you trying to buy?
Pot.
Pot.
Yes.
Can you buy pot from your store?
Oh, well, the guy at the store sells it, but he's not there right now. I was actually going to the store to get money.
Okay. Well, don't smoke. That's not good for you. You don't need all the stuff you think you need.
Hello. I just need to make a phone call. Stay on the line, okay?
All right. I can philosophize while Vincent tries to score. So what were we talking about? I recommend that you go to Veli Stream. That would be the G Block channel. I urge you to subscribe to it. I suppose Americans would find a bit of some of the accents a bit challenging, but you do get the occasional American turning up. I like Veli streams because the real people, they come from a range of occupations, male and female, And I think that that's why the conversations are so good, and certainly much better than the nationalist streams, which is always about low status white men complaining about everything. So that's why I like G Block. A few topics came up when Vincent was on. I was just time stamping them, and
Hello?
yes, yes, hello.
Okay, I gotta wait for something, but
Right, but Vincent, what do you want to do with your life? Really? I mean, you want to be a political activist known for the success of your political activism, it sounds like.
I don't know what I want anymore. I used to, well, I want a lot of things. I don't want any one thing, and there's lots of politics. I get involved in all these political things because I'm trying to move society in a certain direction without 1000% having a crystallized version of the end plan, but I do know the direction I want to nudge it in. So, I support all these campaigns in order to transform society in certain ways, like, part of eugenics, like, it's three-pronged. It's incest, it's polygamy, and it's suicide rights. So, I want eugenics, but you got to do a lot of things to get there. So I have separate projects that are not necessarily related to each other, but are part of, the bigger plan in order to, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. And I'm going to take issue with you about eugenics because, we don't agree about what we mean by eugenics. I'm saying that marriage is a eugenic practice, and what you're doing undermines the institution of marriage.
No, it hasn't. Look, Claire, anyone can get married. Lots of ugly, disgusting, stupid people get married every day, like, and breed ugly, disgusting, useless
Yes,
children. Just
and
be
I'm saying that these people are doing what they're supposed to be doing, because marriage is really for legitimate children, and people like you, I'm afraid, don't get it. It's for legitimate children. It's not for, people who say they love each other until they no longer love each other. It is for the purpose of legitimate children, and the reason why children are required to be legitimate is so that their parents are seen to have participated in a public ceremony where they make vows of fidelity towards each other. So if they, walk away from the relationship, they will be deemed to have had a failed marriage and they will be disgraced. And that is the whole point of the ceremony. It is public. People will know that you got married to whoever. And if your marriage fails, they'll also know. And you will be disgraced. That was the whole point of it. And the heritable trait, the sort of that is considered eugenic is marriageability.
okay, but you're talking, that's very low threshold. Okay,
Well,
if you take
it's
it,
so okay, but nobody wants to do it. You go on these streams on G Block, and you have all these chads who boast about all the women who throw themselves at them, and they can never, and they're not going to get married, and all the feminists who went to university and got good careers are not going to marry and or have children. So what's happening about okay, the reason why Western IQ is lowering is precisely because of that. So the clever people never marry. So the clever women don't marry because they have careers and men don't like women like that. And the clever men, don't marry because they think they can always have endless sex by women who throw themselves at them, and then they can't bear the thought of having to settle down with just one woman and paying for her kids. So they don't marry. So basically, that's why white people are getting stupider and weaker. And I'm
yeah, I
afraid,
know, and
Vincent, your
I say,
idea is not going to save the white race.
okay, well, it has to be, look, the white race is too spoiled to all of a sudden go back into this where, you're married, you stay married no matter what, and that's it, and you get one choice and that's it. And like, I'm sorry, even all of these right-wing men that scream about conservative values, not a one of them has the moral, not even moral, no longer has the integrity in order to do what you're saying. None of them have the integrity or the ability to go through the hardship of marriage and stay married. They don't want that. Nobody wants that. They're talking about it. Everyone who keeps talking about, oh, we need to bring back marriage, bring back marriage, bring back marriage. They're not married. These boys are not married. They've never been married. What the fuck do they know about marriage?
Exactly. So they are degenerate, and and that was why all those rules had to be in place to shame people who are gay, who won't marry, and whose marriages have failed, or who have illegitimate offspring. That was the whole point of all these rules that are called patriarchy. And well, it was difficult, wasn't it? I mean, okay, our parents, our grandparents and ancestors never even thought. I mean, they wanted to get married because they knew that to not get married was to be considered low status. And when you think of all the five world religions, what do? They support marriage. And therefore, all these religions were about forcing us to marry and shaming us if we didn't. That was, fundamentally what they were all about.
Hmm. Right. Well,
Otherwise, human civilization would have died out. We would just all have been gay and transgender and screwing everything,
no,
including
that's the other thing.
our
There was
parents and siblings and nieces and nephews. Because actually, if you look at the 36 capital offences of Judaism, you know that it's like, then a lot. I think about 17 of them are sexual offences about
Yeah.
not having sex with members of their family. And
Yes.
obviously, okay, they didn't have Grinder or Tinder or whatever, so the only members of the opposite sex that they could see that wasn't their wife were members of their immediate family, and they were screwing around, and that's why they had to be dealt with in that way.
Yeah. Well, Claire, I just fine. Do it your way and have another revolt. I mean, maybe you'll get back control for a century. Maybe the heterosexuals and the normative culture and all that will get back in control for another 100 or 200 or 300 years. But then there's going to be a revolt, and you're going to have to deal with it all over
Yes,
again.
yes. Okay, there is a pattern to it. You just enforce those rules. The government enforces those rules. Why do they stop in enforcing those rules? And you can actually trace the reason to empire. So, you're supreme, you're the global hegemon, nobody can beat you. And then you think, well, I can break a few of those rules. I mean, nobody's going to dare to invade me, because I'm global hegemon. They just wouldn't dare. And 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 this is what happens. I think throughout history that that's what happens. They lower standards of sexual morality. They think they can get away with it, and by the time they notice something terrible has happened, and it looks so terrible, they just deny it. It's like, oh, that's not the problem. It's the Jews what done it to us.
Yes, I know.
Yeah,
Yes,
and,
it's
and,
fair.
and then they just let the problem get worse and worse, and I've just thought about what's happening to the white race. I've told you the problem of the cleverest men and women. They don't end up getting married, and then and the ones who do marry, they're gonna marry somebody who ain't white. They're more likely to marry somebody who isn't white. So it's a kind of, well, quadruple whammy to the white race.
Yes, but okay, yeah, modern problems call for modern solutions. And
The solution is secular Quranism, and it is a modern solution. There's nothing else. And people go, oh, it's so barbaric, we're going to lash all these, poor unmarried mothers. It's like nothing else would stop them. Nothing else. Nothing else. So I don't know if you care about you. You know, you kind of talk like you're somebody who cares about the future of
Hello, can
your
you?
race, and then then other times it's like you want to destroy it. I can't tell. I really don't know with you people anymore.
With what people?
White people.
They're horrible. They're horrible, but it's because they're just so spoiled from civilization. Civilization has spoiled them.
Yes, and they are, obviously neurotic. They know something bad is happening, and it's getting worse, and they still can't talk about it. They can't talk about the solution because you listen to the screams of the dissident right. That that they're not going to talk about solutions. They're just going to complain. Oh why can't we complain about the Jews without getting our channels nuked? And that's all they can think of
Yeah.
because they're stupid and degenerate and and then or maybe they already know what the answer is and they can't face it. They can't face it that my solution is the only solution that could work, that can still be said in public without getting their channels nuked. And okay, maybe they're still thinking about it. But I've been going through all the I suppose the supposed thought leaders of of the dissident right. I don't get anything. Okay, Curtis Yarvin seems to be advocating some kind of monarchy, which is very un-American. And I don't know. And then the others is, oh, we're going to wait for everything to collapse and then take over with our pitchforks and
Yeah,
hack
that's
staffs.
their whole plan. Their whole plan is just to, and the thing is that the collapse that they're looking for, where you come out with the pitchforks, is not coming anytime soon. Like Rome collapsed slowly. It like collapsed over a long period of time. It didn't just like collapse. America's not collapsing tomorrow. Like all these men, they're all going to be childless and old by the time America collapses. So I don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah, and they can't even debate with each other. Of course, they don't want to talk to me because apparently they're intimidated by me or something. And well, I mean, it's sad, isn't it? But obviously something that is akin to dementia it has taken hold. In well throughout the entire political classes. So today, I skimmed through the headline of the Daily Mail saying that Putin has basically told the British to watch it, and not send any fighter jets to the Ukraine or else. And you think, when are people going to realise that World War Three is going to take place on Europe again, and Europeans are going to get it in the neck, and they're not doing anything. Maybe they don't think there's anything they can do. But I thought, well, I mean, the least you can do is well, talk about, well, okay, I'm going to say secular Quranism, but which is a kind of religious solution, a quasi-religious solution that could, in theory, work because it would give people something to talk about that could work. That has basically, it contains all the things that Western civilization did wrong. Not just within the last 50 years, but almost throughout their history. It's like, well, maybe you shouldn't have adopted a religion that is idolatry and blasphemy. Because if God exists, he would be, he would be happy and he would be punishing you, and you could have that kind of idea of being cursed, or the other one, which is atheist and sociological and psychological, which I've explained to you earlier. Like you start by being global hegemon, and you think you can get away with breaking a few rules, such as, well, having sex with other people who are not your spouse, and this is what you get. You get this. What's a word? Well, the English call it the thin end of the wedge. The the words escape me. But yes, I mean it's the slippery slope, and we're nearly well, we're about to hit rock bottom. And you know you can't even say the truth because it's fascist or something.
Right. Yeah, the
Okay, and I'm
truth is
saying that
always.
the solution, okay, the problem started with America not having an official religion. Oh yes, yes, and we were gonna. Well, the last time we spoke, you said you'd like to read the farewell speech of George Washington,
Yes.
but you can't because you're waiting for stuff. But I mean, I think that would be fun. Um, and I think it's supposed to be happening in the Senate on the 22nd of February, which is a Wednesday, when some senator reads without comprehension the warnings and advice of Washington that you know the present administration is ignoring completely. Well, I just think it's sad. I mean, you know, okay, I think I've correctly diagnosed a problem, but I can't get myself hurt because, you know, people with these character defects and these ignoble motives who can't talk about these things are pretending that the problem is someone else or something else.
Yes, I know. Yeah, that everything is the Jews' fault, and everything is their fault, and white people just have no ability to think or do on their own, and anything the Jews tell them to do that's bad, they just do it without really questioning, right? I mean, I hate this fact that well, Jews came completely up with liberalism and hypnotized all the white people into it. No, white people were also very responsible for liberalism. White people are capable of liberal leftist thinking too. You know what I mean? It's not just Jews.
Yeah. I mean, Jews are just a kind of, you know, canary in a coal mine, and everybody's saying, oh, the Jews, they're terrible and whatever. It's like, you know, do you think your own people would have, you know, scored any better, you know, over the centuries? It's like, yes, people often ignore their own rules. I mean, look at the Americans with their own constitution, well, certainly with the advice of George Washington, which I only noticed 2 years ago because I was, you know, following things quite closely because of, you know, the 6th of January, you know, the supposed insurrection.
Mhm.
So I'm saying, you know, it's all coming from America because, you know, you are still the global hegemon, but, you know, but wobbling because, you know, I think the rest of the world is saying, oh, but you seem to have gone a little mad. Why are you doing this to your own people? You know, okay, so one of the things that was said on the G Block stream is that it seems that Western civilization is kind of committing suicide by cop. You know, when some deranged person goes around shooting up, you know, everyone in the street, and then you know he expects to be shot and killed, and that's how he wants to go. And I kind of think that this is what, um, you know, what America is doing. It's sort of saying, you know, stop us, Russia. We know you're you know, you.
The thing is that we need more of a Spartan globo homo. This wouldn't be a problem. Like Sparta was homo and stuff, or at least more so, or had that inclination or something like that. But they kept up you know, they weren't they weren't like this. Where I mean, they were pro guns and weapons and all this shit, and that's the way the homosexuals should be. And they should also just get it together and start breeding. They're so stupid. You know what I mean? Like, and they just need to be, I don't know. I mean, I'm a full believer. I think that there's something to it where somebody who does something that's not necessarily their natural inclination might do it better because they actually have to think a lot harder about it. It's kind of like who's better, somebody who's born a good athlete or someone who has to practice? Like, who becomes a better athlete? Like, because the one who has to practice puts in more time and studies it more and, exercises more and trains more. And, whereas the person who might be more natural at it just doesn't, think as hard or
That's
try
the
as hard on
story
this.
of the tortoise and the hare. Yes?
Well, no, not exactly. Well, I'm just saying that the one who's not naturally made for it might actually do it better because, for them it's
They'll try
actually
harder.
yes. And so I'm saying like women leaders, I think that there's something about certain women leaders that maybe that rough and tumble type of thing is not naturally what they're 100% created for, but since they have to work harder and think harder and try harder and be more creative, sometimes they come out better. And I think that's what would happen with gay kids if we got gay people, if we got into reproducing children, that we would just do it a lot better because it's not our natural inclination to do that. It's not something that, we immediately think about. But
You're not biologically equipped to have children with each other, men and men or women and women. But as for female leadership, it's always difficult for women because, you know, they can't be ruthless or they don't want to seem ruthless. And they dither about, and then all the men give them excuses. Oh, she's a woman, let's protect her, and all kinds of things. And I think Margaret Thatcher in the end, well, she she basically was so protected that she could bring herself to talk to her backbenchers, which and backbenchers are just the ordinary Conservative MPs who who are they're obviously too humble for her, and when she had the leadership challenge, she needed to speak to those people, and she couldn't bring herself to do that. So you can see that pride is a deadly sin. She couldn't bring herself to humble herself to talk to those people that she ignored for so long. Because basically she was treated like a queen by you know all the foreign countries, with people who just sort of mistake her for the queen, thinking Margaret Thatcher was the Queen of England. And the other thing was, she should have gone out in a blaze of glory. She should have just exhausted all the options and done all she could to hang on to power. But she couldn't bring herself to do that, and all these people were saying no, I won't, you shouldn't, you should, and then when she had to leave Downing Street, she cried like a little girl in the end. So I don't know. I mean, and if you're too ruthless, you get hated twice as much as a woman for being ruthless than if you were a man.
yes, you are, but I mean, I don't know. I've never really had problems with women. I mean, so many people have problems with women, and
Yeah, because you
I
don't
just,
have to fuck them and have sustain a relationship with them.
yeah, I know they're very well. That's the thing that women are manipulative and fucked up with men because men are manipulative and fucked up with women. So my experience with women is very positive because I'm not trying to get in their pants. I'm not trying to control them. I don't have any misogynistic thoughts in my head. Like, I'm just like, okay, this is a woman and I want to work with her and I find them very easy to work with. And I don't find them to have all these negative, nasty personality traits that everyone says they have because I'm not approaching them like that. Straight men approach women with negative intentions. They want to control them. They have ill intentions for them. And so women get nasty back. And then you have this war of the sexes and it's disgusting. But no, gay men don't have those problems with women because women treat us nicely because we treat women nicely.
Yes, because they don't expect a bargain of sex to take place between you and them. That's why, they can relax and almost treat you like a member of their own sex. Because whatever bargain they're going to strike with you, it wouldn't be about sex. Because they already know you're gay. So you're kind of left off the hook. But supposing you were Chad and they fancied you and you weren't interested in them, and then they get angry, because they can't have you, or you're a womanizer and you pump and dump all of them and they'd get angry with you. Yes, it is difficult, and that's why we need rules. And these rules have just completely been shot down over the decades. And people need rules again, because if they don't have rules, they'll just be, misbehaving and getting angry with each other and then hating each other and, well, just not married and not having children. And because of that, more immigrants have to be imported. And,
Right.
and perhaps men and women still don't know what they really want. They just want to be happy. They just want people not to be mean to them, and you know. And it's like, no, it's not as simple as that. You have to work out why people are behaving in that crazy way, and always it is something to do with what they think they have the right to get away with. And if the law says they have a right to do this or that, they're going to rely on the law saying, well, it's not against the law, is it, to do what I'm going to do? And so the law has to be right.
Hello?
Yes. And you can help.
Well,
You can help, Vincent. If you want to be a political activist in a good
well,
cause,
I'm not going to go around telling people. I
you don't have to tell
don't.
people to do anything. You can just explain the situation to them. I mean, I don't tell people to go and get married, do I? I don't. I just tell them what the problem is.
But none of them can get married anyway, Claire. I mean,
No, no, I know, but the point is that they have to realize how how encircled they are by you know their own weakness, their own character defects, and all the temptations that the government is pushing on them. They have to realize the nature of their predicament, and they have to stop blaming Jews and immigrants, because it's all linked. And yes, they have to understand how democracy has brought them to this place. Because actually, Carol doesn't get it. Carol doesn't get it either. And she still wants voting. It's like, well, every 4 years, Americans surrender themselves to corporate America by forcing these two political parties to have a contest. So of course they're gonna, go and ask for money to pay for their advertising campaigns and all that. And when they win, the corporations who sponsored them expect to be paid back and to return a few favours. I've explained it to her so many times. She still doesn't get it, or it goes in one ear and out the other. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that, um, even well-intentioned people cannot grasp or refuse to understand. And for you, it's the fact that it's you that will shame them. It's like, Vincent, a homosexual, understands the problem. He doesn't have to be, Mr. Married Father with, children who are credit to him. It's like, this is the best I can do. You and me. It's like, of course they hate me because I'm not white, I'm female. I think I have the cure because I think I've diagnosed the problem correctly, and they can't face it. They just want to keep on blaming Jews. And really, we can get the attention of Jews because, Jews always go on about, oh, why do we suffer? Why do they hate us? It's like, yeah, we can tell you. We'll tell you exactly why they hate you.
yeah, I mean, the reason they're hated is because they don't spread the Noahide laws. That's why they're hated.
And that's where you come in. I mean, you're theologically informed, and that's the thing. Neither of us have to be, Mr. and Mrs. happily married, whatever. We don't have to be. We just have to keep giving it to them between the eyes. and they can't even deny it. You know, it's like, what is religion for? Do you think all these people, or for in all these different parts of the world, just decided, oh, we're just going to be, married parents and shit like that? If they weren't forced to. Of course, they
No,
were
I
all indoctrinated into thinking that's the only way. That's the only way for them to, well, acquire status and have progeny and maybe have a pension through their children.
yes, it was yeah. Well, before it wasn't as because people just had children from having sex, so it wasn't really something the government needed to think about. People would just have sex and yeah, people would just have sex and then babies would be born. It wasn't like I don't think they really needed to think about upkeeping the population. Because most people are heterosexual and it's not like you need to force that on people and
Well, it's a social pressure. I mean, and also how things are portrayed in the Bible. It's like Adam and Eve, and that kind of thing, and people get it into their heads that that is what they're supposed to do to advance, to fulfill their potential as human beings, and then they get all upset and angry if they can't get married or they don't have children. It's considered a tragedy. They are pitied, and all that sort of thing, and and it's only through thinking about Chinese ancestor worship that you think that the whole religion of China was just made up, just to frighten the Chinese into having lots of sons. It wasn't good enough that they had children; they had to have sons so that they could be rounded up to be cannon fodder for the imperial wars or whatever.
yeah, and people also saw through this, Claire, that these, people that wanted all these children didn't necessarily have the best intention for those children, or the people that were having them. Like, yeah, people are like, okay, you're just forcing me to have kids, raise them, and all this stuff, so you can send them off into war to be died, when they're 20. People don't like that either.
Well, we don't all have to be empires, you know. I mean, it can all be sort of managed. It's like, okay, we just have a stable, a replacement birth rate, at least that, you know. I mean, the Japanese are in trouble. Did you? There was something on Twitter about some Japanese academic saying, oh, people should go and die. They should commit suicide.
Yes, yes, please. This is what I've been trying to get everyone to talk about. Like, I'm sorry. And no, I think it's real. When I'm old, I don't want anyone taking care of me. I'm not going to drain someone else's life like that. I'm not going to be like, I'm sick, I'm old, I can't take care of myself. Somebody come take care of me. Let me take up resources. I don't want to do that. Who the fuck wants to do that? It's really disgusting that these people who are so sick and they are just robbing from other people. I mean, your time is gone. You had your time in the sun. Your youth is gone. You're unable to really function, and maybe it's time to go.
Well, the Quran says not to kill ourselves.
Well, I don't care what the Quran says.
I know, but well, Christianity also, okay, I know there was something called the Suicide Act or something. I mean, the idea that was that it was actually a crime to commit suicide, and so if you were unsuccessful, you were punished, and if you were successful, you would be buried in unconsecrated ground as.
One second, one second. Hello?
Yes.
Um, yeah, the Suicide Act, and it was a crime if they caught you and you weren't successful, and all this other kind of stuff. That's all going to change. And you know why it's going to change? Because people are selfish and the world is aging. And I think all these older people, I think that in about a generation or less so, maybe right after the boomers, people are going to realize being old is not that hot. The world's really fucked up. There's not people who really want to take care of you. And I think they're going to start wanting to kill themselves. I think like millennials and Gen Z and stuff will want to kill themselves. So I think it'll become legal because there's not going to be anything here for us.
So, did you ever see a movie called Soylent Green?
Yeah. No, I never saw it, but I heard about it.
Well, it's that kind of thing. I don't. You might want to watch it with Charlton Heston, I think.
Well, modern problems call for modern solutions. And one of them is suicide rights. Just let's get it going.
There's actually a death pathway anyway that the NHS have. It's called the Liverpool Death Pathway.
I know, but that's like a half-assed. We need like, oh, we need it so that average regular people who have average regular lives can go. Not, you don't need to have some terminal disease. You don't have to have any of this. Just, you hate your life. Does it really suck? Did you fuck it up? Are you miserable? Are you sick? Are you really old? Whatever your problem is, why are you taking it out on the rest of the earth?
Well, I mean, for people, that nobody cares about, you can withhold their, you can withhold medication and they'll go soon enough. Yeah.
Well, no, that's forcing them. If you just do suicide rights, you get rid of the people. They do it for them to themselves.
Okay,
You don't
I
have to
don't
do
want to
it.
do that because I'm mindful of what the Quran says. I know you don't care what the Quran says, but I'm just trying to, you know, give them room for maneuver. So, well, you could starve yourself to death because I mean, it's a slow way, and you can change your mind any time, and nobody's going to say, oh, it's yeah, sudden and irreversible. So, it's like if you really, 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 really want to kill yourself, starve yourself to death. And if anybody really cares about you, they can try and dissuade you and try and tempt you with, lots of delicious things to eat. Okay, okay, I've just thought of this thing. They can go into this building, and they all have their own room, and they can all, they can have their own internet, okay, and they can just go there and and no food will be given to them. All right, and they can just
Yeah, but a
stay
lot
there
of us,
until
no, but
they
Claire,
decide to
you
come out,
want
or they die.
you want to facilitate people dying. You don't want to make it more difficult for them. Okay, you don't want a
I've already
habitual
said they're
drug
going to be
addict.
locked into their room until they ask to come out, and they won't be given any food or water. How about that?
Yeah, but that's a slow, horrible way to die.
Well, but then it's not irreversible, and you're not actually killing them. They have and people can and they will have internet access, and people can say don't do it, and we're going to send you food or whatever. Okay,
Okay,
but
well,
they
that's what
won't
I'm
get the
saying.
food. They won't
Okay,
get
if
the
I were to
food.
open up suicide clinics, yes, I would have services to say not do it, but I would also have a realistic, is this person young, healthy, fit? Are they only here because their boyfriend broke up with them? Like, why are you trying to kill yourself? And if you're a homeless, drug addicted, sick, and old person, like, yeah, the pathway to death should be a lot easier. Maybe there should be less, don't kill yourself, don't kill yourself, don't kill yourself. And that's why I think it's important to have these death clinics be private so that, it can.
Okay, I think they can be classified. It's like, have you, are you of working age? have you ever had a job? Okay, and if you haven't, you kind of get privileged status, and people should, fuss around you and say life is worth living, blah blah blah. And then you get the more drug addicted, alcoholics who've never had a job in their lives, who are mentally ill, and then when people want to have a try and rescue them, fine, but they would be in another category. Okay.
Yes, like exactly, but I don't think starving is, the way to go about this.
Well, I just don't want to be seen to be, urging suicide on them. I don't want that because I'm, a secular Quranist, and I'm going to be obeying the letter of the law in the Quran as I see it. And I think
Hmm.
that's kind of neutral enough to, you know, um, and then you can get all these what do you call it, these bleeding hearts, they can do what they want or whatever.
Oh my God, Claire. Well, I don't know. I think the whippings and the starvings and the slavery is what's driving people away from secular Quranism, to be honest with you.
Well, they can find a more compassionate form, and they can have full blown Sharia. I mean, these Muslims don't talk about these things, but um, I'm just trying to address your issues, and be true to my idea, my solution, my idea. Yes,
Your idea.
my principles of secular Quranism. I have to follow them and be seen to follow them. Am I being too ruthless? No, I don't think so. I mean, I'm trying to be balanced. At least I'm not saying like you, or they can all go. But you agree about, dividing these people.
Yes, I believe in kind of being, seeing, being honest with how much do they have in their life? What's the probability that this person's going to get up on their own 2 feet and survive? Like, is it not a lot? Well, then let
Yeah,
them go.
yeah. So
You
you
know,
agree
it's
about my categorization.
yes, but I had that opinion too. Yeah, I mean, yes, the categorization of, to what level are they not okay?
Yeah, it's a kind of tick list. I mean, you can imagine, that be, it could be done, online. It's like, feeling suicidal. What is your age? What is your sex? Have you ever had a job? Blah 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 blah. I do you have, do you have? Are you an addict? Are you have mental health? Have you ever been diagnosed with them? And then they can say that, and yeah, you can process them.
Hmm. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Process them and, you know, do whatever that you have to do. But I think, yeah, I think that once people realize that the next generation, it's not going to be so hot to be old, I think that they'll go. I'm just putting you on pause, on mute because I'm going to be eating.
Okay. Christine Ramsey says, it's a blessing these psychopaths will never be anywhere near power. Oh, Levent wants to come. Long time no see. Yes, you're very welcome. Be interesting to see what's he been up to.
Who is this?
He's Muslim and Turkish, and I've known him for quite a few years now. In his 20s. Well, I don't think I've gone against any, any Quranic principle, and I don't mind displaying some creativity in dealing with, a lot of issues that face us in the 21st century. And I do highly recommend Soylent Green.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it. I know it's about eating people, right?
Soylent Green is people. Yeah. Hi, Levent.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you fine.
That's good. So, how's everything been going, Claire?
Oh, it's been going reasonably well. I've just finished a book on secular Quranism, and I won't be editing it. Thank goodness, somebody else will be doing it, and that will kind of give it, well, make it better, I think.
Okay then.
What about
I just
you?
want, I just wanted to say, now that I think about it, I don't think there's anything in the religion that would actually be against secular Quranism.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Great. Oh, that's nice of you to say that.
honestly, I it's secular Quranism is some type of political ideology that uses, the revelation in the Quran and the laws in Islam implemented into a government, into a society without there being any actual belief in the religion. But at the same time, it's like I can't really see anything in the book or in the Hadith that would be against such a thing. So I don't know. Maybe it could work. Who knows?
Thank you. I mean, I don't think there could have. I think that was how it was implemented after the Meccan Revolution. Because when Muhammad returned to Mecca and, basically took it over, I mean, you can well imagine that not everybody in
Hello.
Mecca itself would be Muslim. And he, obviously he had to be fair enough to them that they didn't rebel after he took over. And he basically said, well, you believe what you want, we're not going to force you to believe in it. And I'm basically saying that, in 2 or 3 generations, people will just gravitate towards Islam anyway, because they'll see that it's mainstream, but, the people who don't want to will still have their rights protected.
Yeah, it's very interesting that you say that, actually. I never really thought about that. Also, another thing is, yeah, you are right. People tend to be gradually moving towards Islam anyway, and secular Quranism could like act as an appetizer for that.
Yeah, it's a kind of bridge between what we have now to, what it should be.
Yeah, and it's very important to just to like make clear that what we're seeing in the West today is just complete destruction of morals, culture. I could go on, the list goes on, and it seems like Christianity is failing and Islam is on the rise. And the way things are going, I think that something like secular Quranism, it wouldn't be too far fetched for it to be put into practice in the next couple of decades.
Yeah, yeah, thank you for that. I mean, it just needs people to talk about it. It doesn't need some huge publicity campaign. People, keep thinking, oh, you need, SKHQ. There's no need. Anybody who's interested in the idea, all they have to do is ask the opinion of the most high status person that they trust. It could be their dad or grandfather or whatever, and say, what do you think? Is it a viable idea? And you just need to do it once. You choose the most high status person whom you trust, and that's all you have to do. And that person in turn does the same thing, and eventually, and quite quickly too, I would say, the message would get to the most high status person in the land, whoever it is.
Hmm, I see.
And one thing I would like to say to immigrants is that, having talked to white people, it's like they don't really care. I think they just want to die. They want to be allowed to die in peace, and you can't interest them in secular Quranism or anything, because all the dissident right, they're not interested in solutions. They just want to blame the Jews, and they just want to be rude about, they just want to whinge about why they got their channel mute because they mentioned Jews. And if you talk to them about a solution, they're not interested. And I don't think they're capable of even wanting to save themselves, because they actually don't want to marry a member of the opposite sex who's white. They don't want to do that. They can't even
Okay.
think of that. The prospect is probably hellish for them. And so, yeah, yeah. I mean, the thing is, if you're white, you're more likely to be transgender and gay. So that's already gone. And if you're white and smart and, and female, you're probably not going to get, married, because you go to university and then you'll have your career, and then you'll be too late to be a mother. And if you're white and a Chad, you'll probably think, well, I can just screw around until I can no longer screw around, because I'm such a Chad and women throw themselves at me. And so, they're getting stupider and weaker, because, the high IQ people will just die childless. And those that do marry will marry outside their own race.
I see.
I mean, does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, you could say that's about right.
Yeah. And
But I don't really think about it in those terms, obviously.
well, no. I guess I'm the only person who thinks it in those terms. But I'm saying also for immigrants, it's like, well, if you're Muslim and you find yourself in the West, and you have children, and you wonder what the hell the government is doing, making your children gay and transgender, it's like, well, you made hijrah to Sodom and Gomorrah. You know, you
Yeah, they
came to
did make
this, and,
hijrah.
and, and, and white people just happen to be here, and they have to suffer what their government, gives. If the government shits and pisses on them, they have to take it, because, well, this is their white homeland. But a lot of Muslims came to this. They crossed oceans, they crossed continents to make hijrah to Sodom and Gomorrah. And if there's anybody prepared to fight this properly, it's probably them, because they presumably they'd feel more stupid for being one of those rats who board a sinking ship, rather than one of those rats who leave the sinking ship.
That's quite an interesting take, Claire. Not only that, but I would say that a lot of these people come here. It's just for the money, Claire. They don't care about anything else. The only reason that they're here is for the money, first of all.
Yeah, they're economic migrants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all this assimilation nonsense is not going to happen. Muslims aren't going to give up their. I'm not saying that some will. Yes, some definitely have lost their ways, but the vast majority of them, hopefully, inshallah, they won't lose their ways. That's the thing, because there is nothing to assimilate to. After all, this country is not a Christian country. I don't know any white English people that are serious practicing Christians like I do with the Muslims, for example. And not only that, but it's like a vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
There's no religion, there's no ideology in place. It's kind of like do whatever makes you feel happy. And so obviously when there's a vacuum like this, there is going to be like an ideology or religion that's going to fill its place. And obviously that looks like it's going to be Islam, not Judaism, not Hinduism, not none of these other religions. It's
Mm-hmm.
going to be the religion that makes the most sense, has the most logic and science backing it, and also the one that is anti-degeneracy as well, and can actually, make a country strong again. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Right?
there's still this instinct for survival, because Muslims come from a culture where people expect to get married and have children,
Yeah.
because that's what everybody who respectable tries to do.
Okay. People, when you talk about children, you're referring to population rates, because obviously, if you look at the country's demographics, obviously it is a very, very, very steep incline the population birth rates, natural population change is slightly higher, but that's only because there's Muslims present. If there wasn't Muslims present, then it would just be negative. Yeah.
Yeah. It's quite scary, isn't it, when you think
And
about
another
it?
and another thing is, I'm not being funny with you, but this past couple of this past year, these past couple of months, it's like you don't really feel like bringing a child into the world. Because personally, looking all around me, what's going on, it's just crazy town. It's gotten like literally 5 years ago, it wasn't even this bad, and I thought it was pretty bad. Now it's just astronomically bad. Like a lot of people, including myself, we're kind of put off from actually making children because I don't really want them to grow up in this world. And it's the same because I feel like what I was saying this a couple of days ago. Yeah, like I'm gonna probably be the last generation of the good times. Have you ever heard of good men create strong men create good times, good times create weak men create bad times. I'm kind of like the last of the good times, and that's how I feel.
Yeah. But, I'm just saying, the solution is simple. Everything is simple in theory, I know, but, I think we can just talk about it, idly, even as we prepare for, you know, dementia
Yeah,
and degeneracy and, extinction. Because, it could get worse. I mean, we could get blown up in, in a nuclear holocaust because our government is literally crazy. I mean,
yeah.
why is it sending fighter jets to Ukraine, knowing that Russia has nuclear bombs and
I mean,
it's
it's
crazy.
pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious that it's just like there is a matrix out there, whatever you want to call it, Illuminati matrix, doesn't matter. You can call it the Satan for all I know. Anyway, it's pretty clear from, Andrew Tate, he's not guilty. There's no evidence against him, yet they're treating him like some mass murderer or some paedophile or something like that. It's obvious he's not done anything wrong. They just wanted an excuse to get him away and knock away the key. That's what I think. This guy, Andrew Tate, he can obviously influence the whole election. He was onto something. He knew he was onto something, and for this they clamped down on him. And they're giving this like bullshit staged lies about him where he's
Yeah, they're
some type of
terrified of him because he could be the poster boy for Islam.
exactly because he has the truth on his side and the elites are afraid of him because of this, so they want to get him locked up as soon as possible.
Well, I hope the Ummah defend him. I mean, I think Daniel Hakikatu and his lot are saying we have to defend Andrew Tate because
Yeah,
he done nothing wrong.
you've done nothing wrong. Exactly, I agree.
And actually, I have a girlfriend who's, well, actually expressed negative views about Muslims, saying, she admired him and supported him. And I think
Yeah,
this is what the globalists are afraid of, you know.
yeah, definitely 100%.
And I'm saying they can easily be defeated because they're obviously so afraid of even little ideas. Anybody who is articulate, who looks good, who is masculine, must be stamped on. They want to destroy everything good about masculinity because it threatens them.
Yeah, 100%. Have you been looking at the news lately and what they've been going on about, like what's been happening in the world? It's like the government, the agenda, they're pushing LGBT too much now. It's kind of like too much in your face. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, it's getting worse and worse. And I was saying earlier that that it looks like they're making heterosexual married couples breed the next generation of LGBT people. And we can't
Hmm.
even say, no, we would rather our children not be gay because conversion therapy has been banned, more or less, in the States. And if it's banned in the States, it's going to be banned here. And actually, interestingly, it was a Jew who fought against it. He's basically financially ruined, and the court there said he can't appeal, and they wouldn't give him a proper reason. And his name is Arthur Goldberg.
Arthur Goldberg. I don't think I know about him.
He's on Wikipedia. Well, he's had a bit of a checkered history because he's been done for fraud and stuff. But you know, I mean, he basically had a campaign against, you know, all this sort of gayification of you know, the culture, because I think he had an only son, and the son went gay, and he met another Jewish parent who had the same thing happen to her, and you know, because he's Mr. Moneybags, he started all these conversion therapy centers, and he didn't want, you know, he didn't want to use the Christian forms because, you know, he's Jewish, obviously. So he did that, and they targeted him, and they're basically well, they're trying to destroy him financially.
Fair enough. But yeah, when I hear Goldberg, all I can think about is that guy. What's his name? I forgot. His name is George Gold or George Byron.
Oh yes, George Byron. Yeah, I was talking to him yesterday.
No, I'm not backbiting against him, but been on his channel, been watching his videos, and yeah, I just commented saying, like, you're a cultural Christian. Like, what does that even mean? That doesn't even make any sense to me. It's like you're either a Christian or you're not a Christian.
Yeah, I mean, cultural Christians are no good. I mean, actually, I am myself a cultural Christian. I mean, a cultural Christian just means somebody who knows a form, you know, goes into church, knows, you know, the order of service, and, you know, a few hymns and that, you know, that kind of thing, without believing in it. But I think, you know, even people who are properly confirmed and, you know, join the priesthood, they don't really get it either about the Trinity. You know, they basically, you know, they were forced to believe in it. They never even had a chance to. Okay, when the King of England converted to Christianity, he didn't ask permission from his subjects. You know, if they fancied a bit of Christianity, he converted, and the bargain was that he was going to use his, you know, powers of kingship to force his people to take his religion, and if they didn't, they would be burnt at the stake. That was how it worked for, well, for centuries. That was how it worked. Because, I mean, the idea was that they couldn't have freedom of belief, because imagine if they could have freedom of belief. You know, the subjects of the king, you know, said, oh, well, you know, I don't agree with your Christian nonsense. I'm going to appeal to, you know, the god of Hinduism, who is more powerful than you, and, you know, he will curse you or something, or you know, I'm a Muslim, I'm going to appeal to Allah to, you know, say what you say is nonsense. You know, that couldn't be allowed. So everyone who was a subject of any king in Europe basically had to be burnt at the stake for denying the religion of his king.
Right.
You know, and because it was such a horrible thing, you know, the moment they could get away with not doing it, when they settled in a new world and declared independence from Britain to reject monarchy and Christianity, you know, they rejected the whole thing. I mean, that was what the American Revolution was about, a rejection of monarchy and the religion that supported monarchy, which is Christianity.
But that doesn't make sense to me, because America is more Christian than Europe.
Only because they weren't forced into believing in it. So because you know, they had a completely different experience of religion. You know, it's like, yeah, you know, because they weren't forced to go to church. They went to church. But I mean, if you listen to some of the streams of Ed Dutton, he said that his ancestors were fined for not going to church. And there were actually instruments of punishment in the Copenhagen Museum that I visited for if you didn't go to church. Basically people had to go to church.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, and okay, and in a way that that was good for European culture and music because in order to attract people into church, you had to give them beautiful buildings and nice music and works of art to look at and stuff, and yeah, I mean, and of course the monarch had to sponsor arts, artists and musicians to attract people into church so that they came willingly because they wanted to see a good show.
I see. Well, I do know that Christianity originally spread to Europe from Middle Eastern sort of migrant, persecuted refugees uh, from Rome, and then their populations grew, and then, as far as I understand it, Constantine had a vision. He had a dream where he saw Jesus Christ initials, and then after that he kind of converted to Christianity, and so that's how you know Roman Christianity came about.
Yeah. Actually, yes, he won a war, and he obviously knew that the Roman imperial cult was failing because he lived through the year of the five emperors, which is five men basically fighting to each other to become the emperor of Rome. But,
Hmm.
but Constantine won, and he could sort of attribute his victory to divine protection or something. So he dedicated a lot of his life to establishing Christianity, and he called the Council of Nicaea, which is basically telling all the Christian bishops.
Yeah, it's all made up bollocks.
Yeah, it
Excuse
was.
my
It
French.
was, but
Yeah.
and I can quickly explain it because they couldn't even agree, these Christian bishops, because basically Constantine was saying, look, just agree on a doctrine, and then I will make Christianity the religion of Rome. You have to agree on a doctrine. It's not up to me to do it because I'm not Christian, but you guys have to do it. And they couldn't even agree. So the Council of Nicaea was split between the Arians and the Trinitarians.
Right. And who were the Aryans?
The Arians were basically people who believed that Jesus was divine, the Son of God. The Trinitarians said Jesus is the co-equal of the God of Israel, who is also Allah and the Holy Spirit.
I know, but where did they get all these doctrines from?
Well, actually, the Holy Spirit exists in Islam as well as Judaism, and I would
For real?
yes, that one, the Ruach,
Yeah.
and and the Holy Spirit is also in Judaism, and I think the logic of it is this: that the Jews are very strict about idolatry, and the idea that God cannot enter into his own creation, because if you say that anything around you is part of God, then you'll start worshipping it, and that's idolatry. So basically, they're saying that the Holy Spirit is sent by God to do stuff, perform miracles and get Mary pregnant, and all kinds of things like that, you know,
Hmm.
and so basically the Holy Spirit is the agent of God, sent to perform, you know, to carry out his commands. So I think the reason why the Trinitarians insisted on Jesus being the co-equal of the God of his, of God is because they anticipated that the Jews will say, look, our God, the God of Israel, is, well, he's not crucified, he didn't die, he didn't suffer, and therefore our God is more powerful than your Jesus.
Right.
And the Trinitarians anticipated that the argument would be made, and that was why they had to insist that Jesus would be the co-equal of God and the Holy Spirit. But obviously that's harder to believe. It's harder to explain because people are going to say, well, when did Jesus become God? And all sorts of obvious questions come to mind. And if you did ask that, when it was still
Yeah,
blasphemy to
but the
question
thing
it.
is, Jesus, alayhi salam, never actually claimed to be God or the Son of God.
Yeah, but anyway, according to the
No, he didn't. He didn't at all.
according to Islam, he didn't. According to the Quran, he didn't. Right?
Yes, but then they made up that he was a son of God. How can you say that somebody is something when they themselves didn't admit to it? You know what I mean?
Yes, yes. I think Jesus was relying on the Fifth Amendment not to incriminate himself when he wouldn't answer. But anyway, he was convicted by the Sanhedrin of blasphemy. That's in Matthew. I mean,
Right.
it's part of the Christian narrative anyway that he was convicted, in a hurried trial, and but yes, I'm so glad you mentioned the Quranic narrative of Jesus, because
Hmm.
it says that Jesus didn't die on the cross. He only appeared to do so. God lifted him directly to heaven, and he didn't suffer, basically.
Look, there's even evidence, right? For example, you see, what was it again? Like, you even there's a thing that if you look at the original scripture, you will see that, Jesus actually claimed that somebody else would come after him. Christians don't believe this. The Christians believe that Jesus, and then that's it, nobody else after him. But he clearly stated that somebody would come after him, called the praised one. And we all know that in Arabic, Muhammad,
The
the name Muhammad
Paraclete.
means the praised one.
Uh huh.
You understand? So obviously, I'm going to say this, right? Christians, look, I don't understand it. Do some research, actually, do some critical thinking. Your religion is made up. I'm sorry, it's made up. I don't understand how you can believe in something which is obvious. You can trace back its roots to the Council of Nicaea, and all these men, all these priests, just making up stories, making up a doctrine. Like, it's so artificial that it's absolutely obvious. You can even trace it back to when it was created, when it was manufactured. That's how artificial it is. It's not like, oh, we don't know, this or that happened, all speculation. No, because it's actually there. If you look deep enough, you'll
Yeah, they don't even care, do they? I mean, I don't think they
yeah.
even really believe that Jesus is God. They're just sort of hiding behind Christianity because it gives them more status to say, our religion is better than your religion, and Christianity is the best religion because it got us three global empires, and
Yeah, but what does that mean? That's all material. What does that
yes.
even mean? I'm not being funny, but look, I haven't met a white person who's in the UK who's actually a serious Christian. Yeah, all this civilization and we're better than you. Look at you, backwards brown people, so on and so on. These aren't arguments. Yeah, this doesn't prove that Christianity is the truth and Islam is false. They don't have any proper argument.
No.
You got all these Christian. Like, I'm not backbiting against people. Yeah, who claim this, but these people say they're cultural Christians, etc., etc. They went Sunday school, whatever, and they sang from a hymn sheet or whatever. Like, and they call themselves cultural Christians. I mean, what is that? That's an embarrassment. I wouldn't call myself a cultural Muslim ever. It's like I'm a Muslim or I'm not a Muslim. You see what I mean? There's no two ways about it, and it's just weak because you see these people, yeah. They smoke weed, they do this, they got gay pastors, they have LGBT, this and that. There's no rules, there's no structure to the religion. It's just, make it up as you go along. I mean, it's not really a religion at all. It really isn't. And then, you got obviously made up stories and I'm just rambling on here, but to be honest with you, I just see Christianity as a made up religion, and I think that, so called Christians really need to do their research and need to look into Islam.
Yeah, yeah, but the thing is, they were all forced to believe in it, which they
Mm.
refused to, acknowledge. There was a time when it was death to deny the divinity of Jesus.
Well, now we don't live in those times anymore. If they want to, they can research into Islam, you see. You see, the media is afraid of Islam because they've caught on to the fact that, unlike Christianity, Islam is actually a real religion and people actually take it seriously. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So this scares them. We have to paint a picture of Islam in their heads to be some crazy, frantic death cult so that they can't, actually think, oh, that seems like a viable option. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for example, yeah, there's even people like in this country, like they hear Allahu Akbar, yeah, God is great. They think it's like a swear word or something. They think it's like the C word. It's like a terrible thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
You see, we've got that level of brainwashing because obviously the
They think a bomb is about to go off.
yeah, exactly. Like
Mm-hmm.
Pavlov's dog, yeah, you see a big explosion, poof. That's what they think.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing is you've got idiots like Tommy Robinson and stuff, trying to link grooming gangs with Islam, but none of the two correlate whatsoever. So it's like if your best arguments about Islam are brown people bad, they kill people, they rape people, they blow people up, that still doesn't like how if you're a Christian, how are these arguments supposed to defend Christianity in any way? How do they make Christianity look good in any way? They don't. They're just whinging about things that aren't even related to the religion of Islam whatsoever to
Mm-hmm.
desperately try and make it seem like the boogeyman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They haven't got a leg to stand on. That's why
Yeah,
they're frightened of their own shadow. Because
yeah.
it's so easy to win arguments using the Quran, and recently it's like, wow, you guys, you have to rely on chapter 49 verse 13, the verse about God created tribes and nations and male and female, because in our confused times we don't know if we're female or male, do we? Or we're too afraid to say, well, because of the pronouns thing.
Right.
um
Another thing is the scientific inaccuracies in the Bible. I use the Bible plural because obviously there's more than one Bible. How can it be a religion of truth if it has, different versions of the truth? Don't make any sense. Okay, I'm rambling on a bit.
No, can you
Anyway,
repeat your question because I kind of got distracted. What did you say? What was your question?
okay, I was just gonna say, yeah, Bible, just a little point before, I actually ask the question, yeah, and answer it. This thing of there being multiple different Bibles, how can a religion that claims to be true have multiple different versions of itself? It doesn't make any sense. It's an oxymoron,
Mm-hmm.
in it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to the question, yeah, okay, there's so many scientific inaccuracies in the Bible. For example, night and day were created before the stars were. That, how does that make even any sense? I mean, the sun is a star. I mean, you can clearly see that the whole thing's been manufactured. I mean, look, I can go on about the scientific miracles in the Quran, but I would rather leave it to the viewer to go research themselves because we'd be here for another week. But there are some compelling things that you will find in the Hadith, in the Quran. It will make you question things. That's all I'm going to say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, a good. Actually, it's very useful that
Your turn.
the the Quran and scientists are agreed on the Big Bang, because there is a verse that appears to be describing the Big
Hmm.
Bang in the Quran.
I'm
Uh,
not disputing the fact that there are some actual genuine facts in the Bible after all. They do well, the things that haven't been changed or altered too much in the Bible, obviously, it comes from the same source at the end of the day. I'm not disputing that some things in the Bible might be correct, but still, yeah, the Big Bang, there being a start to the universe, that is in line with Islamic teachings as well. Not too the what was it, the 20th mid 20th century, they thought that there was no start to the universe, that it always existed. So obviously, you can't really rely on science too much because science might say something 10 years from now that is different to what they're saying at this current predicament.
Well, yes, because I don't know if you've argued with pantheists, but pantheists basically say that God is the universe, and if God is the universe, then the universe is uncreated. And
But
if the universe is uncreated, then there's no need for the Abrahamic God to, create it. And they use this theory to deny the existence of God.
okay, then. I don't know, but these pantheists don't really make any sense to me.
Well, I
They
mean,
really don't.
the purpose of pantheism for them is basically to say, no thanks, we've already got a God, we're already monotheists, and we don't agree with the Abrahamic God because we don't want to obey his laws. I mean,
Well,
that's
the
basically what
thing
they're
about
trying to do.
pantheism is when I was like a teenager, pantheism might have made a little bit of sense to me, but when you kind of grow up, yeah, you just grow up, you just grow out of it. Look, I don't understand. How can God be the universe? How can they both be the same thing? I don't really see that. I never really saw that. Also, another thing is energy. What was it? Energy. You know, what is it? Energy transfers into energy, right? You can't destroy energy. You can't create energy. It's just there, right? But the thing is, then you would have an infinite regress and you wouldn't really get anywhere. So there would be no existence if there's an infinite regress, would there? So that just really kind of makes it kaput in my eyes anyway. You go.
Yeah. Well, I guess, when you think about it, there was a time when, it was a very political thing to believe whether the Earth went round the sun or the sun went round the Earth. Kind of like climate change.
Yeah. Well, I've heard about that because obviously the inaccuracies in the Bible said that everything went around the Earth. But, obviously this was proved to be wrong by Galileo and yeah, the rest is history.
Yeah, I mean, because there were obvious um, political reasons for the Catholic Church saying no, 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 we can't admit to a mistake because if we admit to that mistake, we'll be forced to admit to other mistakes, very soon. So we can't even begin that process. But in the end, they were forced to.
Yeah,
And
I can see where you're coming from. Anyway, moving topic if you don't mind. So, this guy, Vincent Bruno, is he going to come on stream as well, or is he left?
I think yes, he has left.
Okay, then, never mind.
Did you want to,
So,
did you want to speak to him?
yeah, well, I mean, I wouldn't have minded speaking to him, but I don't know. I don't know what he's advocating. As far as I know, he's a homosexual man, but yet he supports no hide.
Well, he plays this sort of 4D chess because okay, this is what he tells me anyway when I keep asking him this question. Why are you supporting this, you know, these laws that would criminalize your activity? And he's saying, when the social conservatives, start getting restive, the liberals will put them down. And he's an accelerationist in the sense that he wants to encourage the social conservatives to show themselves so that they will be crushed by the forces of liberalism.
Okay, then I see. Wow.
But he's
So,
always swinging both ways and scheming about whatever.
yeah. I don't know about the trad girls, who enjoy smelling men's farts, but yeah, go on.
But yeah, I thought it was a kind of ironic that a gay man should be complaining about the degeneracy of the well,
Yeah.
other white
Uh,
people, and he's the only one who's actually prepared to discuss ideas. I mean, the other ones just can't, you know, they just
yeah.
can't talk about ideas at all.
I'm not sure about this kind of human asexual reproduction.
Well, it's going to be awkward, right? I mean, it's like, it's so high maintenance and you have to spend so much money to make sure it works. When you think, oh, the natural way, you just have sex and in a few minutes, if on the right day, you can make a woman pregnant, you know?
I don't know. So, like, you're gonna have these incubators full of gay babies. I don't see how that's gonna work.
Yes, and he said, they can all hatch at the same time. I was saying, it'll drive you mad. Imagine having triplets, you
Oh
know?
my, that's funny. But anyways, is there anything else you want to talk about, Claire?
Um, Well, I mean, I hope you will be able to bring yourself to discuss secular Quranism if you're in any way concerned about the future of the society that you live in, to the higher status person that you trust, so that they in turn will ask the same question to the higher status person they know, so that this solution can get to the top of whoever's in charge of Western civilization. Because I think what they're afraid of our ruling classes is that they're so far gone in their degeneracy and dementia that they don't quite know how to sort of say we better stop we better stop what we're doing now, because I can't okay I recognize that what I'm asking them to do is to say that 250 years of liberalism and 2,000 years of Christianity have been wrong, and that 50 years of feminism have destroyed 250 years of liberalism and 2,000 years of Christianity. Just 50 years of feminism. And they can't bring themselves to acknowledge that. And the only way to, get themselves out of this bind is to admit that representative democracy is not the way to go. And they can't do that because, democracy has become idols in their minds. Democracy, feminism, you know.
Mm.
We don't worship those things. They're not idols. It's not fair to call everything an idol. Like, it's not fair just because you really look up to something. Like when people define it's not idolatry. Like Christians always say, well, idolatry is like idolizing superstars and rock stars and stuff like that. No, idolatry is a very specific thing. Idolatry is believing God is in the inherent world right now, here, present in the physical realm, and you are worshiping Him knowingly, wittingly in the physical realm. That's idolatry. To really aspire
Um,
to democracy
Vincent,
or feminism, that's not
your audio
idolatry.
is not very good, and I know you're saying something quite important. So
Oh,
please,
okay. Let me start again. Can you hear me now?
yes,
Yes.
better.
Okay. The point is you can't go running around calling everything idolatry. Idolatry is a very specific thing. Idolatry is when you believe that God has entered into the physical world and is inhabiting a physical object, and you worship God in that physical object as God in a prescribed way. That is idolatry. To have great aspiration for democracy or feminism, or to really idolize a rock star or a painter or your teacher or something like that. That's not idolatry. You can't relate those things to
Yeah, and
idolatry.
and I agree with you.
Well,
Yeah, I know, but Claire did it.
okay. I'm saying that there is something called hidden idolatry.
I know you bring this up. But that's not. It's not even hidden idolatry. It's not idolatry.
Okay, if
It's
you
not idolatry. It has
allow
nothing to do with
something
idolatry.
that is nothing to do with the Quran to affect your actions, then you are, worshipping a false god, because you're
No, you're
saying
not worshiping. Worship. No, tell me where in democracy does it say God enters the physical world and we will worship God in that form? Where in the definition of democracy does it say that?
okay. What I'm trying to say is that Jews and Muslims who submit to democracy as being over Islam are, in effect, making an idol of democracy or
No,
anything
they're
that
not making.
contradicts the
No, they're not
Quran.
making. They're not making an. No, an idol. Look, under Jewish terms, an idol is a very specific legal term. Idolizing or having great revere and respect for democracy is not under Noahide law. Is not idolatry.
Okay, I know there is a specific crime of bowing before idols, but I think even
Yes.
Jews talk about hidden idolatry, and
No, but no, no, we're not talking about hidden idolatry. We're talking. Don't bring it into hidden idolatry. You always bring into that. I know you always say, well, someone praying incorrectly or for wrong purposes is guilty of idolatry, but this is not idolatry at all because in Judaism, idolatry is, look, the Noahide laws only they negate or they tell you what you cannot do, not what you cannot believe or cannot think or what you have to think, what you cannot do. And so there is, you can actually even pray, you can actually even idolize someone in your mind. And even though you're wrong with God, nobody could do anything to you under the Noahide laws. Let's say I was worshiping a rock star as God and my head, like nothing would happen to me. But as soon as I went to go make some kind of form of verbal worship or bowing or a declaration that this rock star is God, these different kind of things, making it clear I was practicing the clear definition of idolatry, then, but it's not idolatry to just be in love with a rock star or to really like democracy and to really idolize. Well, then your Quran is an idol to you, Claire. So you're also kind of hypocritical because your Quran becomes your idol.
okay, but at least it's higher status than
Like this actually reminds me of something. This actually reminds me of something because I remember I watched this huge Muslim, YouTuber, and he was talking about self-improvement and all these self-improvement individuals with like meditating like a Buddha, and he was claiming that that was some type of idolatry. That was a bit, I thought that was a bit extreme to claim such a thing, because obviously I agree with Vincent here. There's some times where some things which are claimed to be idolatry isn't actually idolatry, and things that are idolatry, aren't even speaking about. I think there is a fine line between what is and what isn't idolatry, but definitely I think it's taken too far by some extremists.
well,
Well, look, the Quran is very anti-idolatry. Your God hates idolatry, so there's at least hatred for
Yeah,
idolatry that comes out of the
of
Quran.
course. If
But well, yeah, but and then that can easily, the way the Quran is also printed and violence against pagans in the Quran and all this other kind of stuff, it can lead to the interpretation easily that yes, all these idols are bad and kill all the idolaters, and
yeah, but
because
the idolaters were killing Muslims first.
no, yeah, because this is what, okay, you know what, I'm going to do exactly what Muhammad did. I'm going to go outside your mosques and I'm going to start ripping Allah apart all in front of your mosques, just like cursing them out and cursing Muslims and being a fucking asshole. So I'm going to get the Muslims really mad at me and I'm going to make them come out and attack me. And then I'm going to run away and I'm going to be like, oh my God, they attacked me. They attacked me. I'm a victim. I'm a victim. And I'm going to get all these people on my side. And then we're going to like, let's go back and slay all the Muslims and we're going to slay you all and we're going to knock down all your mosques and ban your religion from the area and tear down anything that has to do with Islam and set up a pagan empire and then stretch out across the earth and murder Muslims all across the earth. Yeah. So that's what Muhammad did to pagans. So that's your story. And that's my story too. So please don't get into what pagans were doing to Muhammad, because if pagans did to Muslims what Muhammad did to pagans, you wouldn't tolerate it. So I'm not going to tolerate it. So just please don't even get into that.
They were persecuting the Muslim people.
Good, because they had ill intentions.
They had ill intentions.
Yeah, they had ill intentions against the gods of the land, and they wanted to, they wanted to get rid of everyone else's gods and have only theirs. He was out in the marketplace screaming and blaspheming everybody's god and everybody's idol in the middle of the street. What do you think is going to happen? If I did that in a Muslim country, what do you think would happen? I hope I would spark a revolution.
Okay, let me get this straight. Okay, we had like multicultural Muslim empires. We had the Ottoman Empire. We had Muslim Spain. We had all of these places.
There was fights and infighting and genocides and all kinds of fucked up stuff was going on there.
They were living next to each other. They respected each other's religion.
Oh no, there was lots of fighting. Stop pretending this was some kind of peace fest between Christians and Muslims.
Yeah, between kings. No, I'm talking about normal people.
Oh, please. It doesn't mix.
There would be no Christians or Jews left in the former Muslim empires if what you were saying was true.
Yeah, there's a lot less than there used to be. You definitely got rid of most of them. Egypt, what are you talking about? Egypt was all Christian. It's all Muslim now.
Okay, then.
Most of the Christians are out of the Middle East. Most of the Jews don't live anywhere in the Middle East.
Yeah, well, what did they do in Cyprus during Byzantine times? There used to be an Arab Muslim population.
Okay, yeah, you Muslims are the only ones with the story that everything was fine, and the Christians and Jews are like, no, it wasn't fine. So I believe Christians and Jews, not Muslims.
Okay, then.
Yeah, your story, the Muslim story is the only story. So Jews and Christians have the same story that the persecution, when they were next to Islam, it was really bad. And Islam says, oh no, we were really good. So it's 2 against 1.
Well, we know who was more barbarous than mother.
More who, what?
Who was more barbarous than mother.
Oh, please, they were both barbarous. Don't act. What you did in India was disgusting, barbarous. What you did to the Sikhs was barbarous. What you did to the Hindus was barbarous. What you did to the Buddhists was barbarous. It was just barbarous. Don't act like you're not.
What did we do? What did we do to the Buddhists? Tell me what we did to the Buddhists.
Well, when you went in through that area, you obviously did hit Buddhist territories. I mean, it's not like you're free from. Maybe you didn't enter, a totally Buddhist colony or something like that, but you definitely wiped out Buddhists when you were wiping everyone else out. Yeah.
So you're saying that Islam was spread with a sword? Is that your argument?
Both of them. It was spread by sword and philosophy, just like Christianity was. Just like Christianity. I know you're going to see the innocence of Muslims, and I'm going to have to sit here and listen to the, everything was perfect.
No. I'm not going to do that.
Everything we did was perfect. We never hurt one person. We're so gentle and kind. Nothing. And then everyone else has a different story. The Hindus have a different story that it was bad, and the Buddhists in Bangladesh have a different story that it's bad, and everyone's telling, and the Sikhs say it was bad, and the Russians say it was bad, with, what's it called?
Why is half of Africa worshipping a white man on a stick?
Why is half of Africa Muslim?
No, answer my question. Why is half of Africa and all of Latin America worshipping a white Jesus on a stick?
I know you're gonna. The white man did so much worse than we did. It negates everything bad we did because white man did it worse.
I don't know. I can't argue. You're obviously closed-minded.
No, you're obviously a Muslim, which means you're that you're uncreative, you're stupid, you're a liar, you're just a disgusting human being.
I don't mean to boast, but I'm actually quite a cultured Muslim.
I don't care. That's worse. That's worse.
Apparently this call is ending in 10 minutes, but I can start another one if you guys want to get, but I just have to warn you, that's all.
Okay, well, I just want to say that, Claire, this is the reason why I want Noah. I don't want to fight with Muslims. That's a low-end fight. I want humanity to become ennobled through warfare, and I am looking for the opponent that is going to craft us the most refined way. Islam is crude. Noahidism is a much more refined enemy. It's much more intellectual. It is much less stupid, and it would be a better enemy to go against because it would carve out. In that war would carve out a better human race than fighting Islam. I don't want Islam. You're fucking retards. I don't want to fight you. I want to fight Noahides. You're just like low-end thugs.
Muslims are Noahide.
No, they're not Noahides. It's called Islam is a religion. To have a religion, you cannot have a religion. There is no creating a new religion in Noahidism. As soon as you've created a new religion and given yourself new rules or new books,
Yeah, but
you
it's the
violated the
prophet
Noahide
Noah alayhi
laws.
salam. It's the prophet
What?
Noah alayhi salam is a prophet. So therefore, Muslims are Noahide.
No, you added to Torah. Who said that? Who said a Noahide can't eat pork? Who said that?
I don't know, but all I know
Exactly. You've
is
added to the law, so you're not Noahides. You're not Noahides. Who said that a Noahide can't practice usury? Nobody said that. You've added to the law. Who said that you could make these holidays for yourself, Ramadan and all these other kind of stuff? You're not allowed to do that. Who gave you
because
permission?
The Quran was sent down during that time. That's why
No,
we do Ramadan.
according to who? Not according to Noahidism, it wasn't.
Well, it's completely irrelevant. We're talking about two completely different time periods,
No,
two different people.
no, excuse me. You came out to say that Islam was Noahidism, and now you know it's not. It's not
Yeah, but he's a
Noahide.
prophet.
No, it's not Noahide. I don't care if he's a prophet. Islam is not a Noahide anything.
But
Islam is not.
Jews, some rabbis acknowledge that.
Yeah, they're lying. They're tricking the Muslims for right now. The real rabbis who know the real shit know that Islam is not Noahide.
Okay, then. Right.
So I'm sorry. I think that discussing this with you really shows, I discussed with Jews. My discussions with Jews are much more intellectual and they're much smarter than you, and it's much more entertaining. I
Okay,
really,
let's go through the no hide. Do you know the no hide laws off by heart?
yes, I do. No idolatry, no blasphemy, no illicit sex, no murder, no theft. Do not eat the flesh cut from a living animal. Establish courts of justice to implement these laws.
That's basically Islam.
No, Islam, no, excuse me. I just told you, since you have a religion and have added laws, you're not Noahide. It's a very specific. I've given you the legal reasons why you're not Noahides.
Okay, sure. There was things added on by different prophets, but that's because that is what God given them at the time. Do you understand? There was no salats because it was given to him during that time. You got
Nobody
no
believes
argument.
that by you. No, nobody believes that but you.
No,
I
no,
have no argument. You're
billions
not
of
even a
people,
Noahide.
billions of people, and I tell you what, millions of white Western people are going to as well, whether you like it or not.
Well, Islam, but that's because Noahidism is just only getting started right now. We are the Noahidism is just coming out of the gate. They've just started, and they have more influence in the West than Islam
Yeah, but
does.
I never heard of them.
So that doesn't. Yeah, but a lot of there's okay. It's a power cult. Maybe there's not a lot of minions right now, though there are. They have about a half a million minions. So these are Noahides, but the Jews that are behind this, the Noahide movement, and the movers and shakers in the Jewish world that support it are very, very, very powerful, and they have a lot of very, very, very powerful people working
So,
with
so what
them.
they're doing? Are they hiding in the Isle of Wight? Then is that why nobody sees them?
Why? No, these are regular, everyday rabbis and people out in the street. There's not a lot of them, but I mean, if you search, Jewish rabbis and Noahide law, you would find a lot of Jewish rabbis who support it.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about that, mate.
Well, why don't you? Okay, well, I have studied this for 10 years, and I mean, I read books on Noahide law. I'm reading a book by a Gentile right now on the Noahide
Yeah,
laws.
you say that it's taking over, but I don't know
I
any
didn't say I
Noahide.
didn't say it's slowly. I didn't say it's the okay. We have more time. We're not doing it as fast as you are, but
Well, you're
it
running out of time because
no,
Islam's
no,
taking
that's
over.
your eschatology that you believe you're running around like chickens with your head off because you think that the end is like 5, 10, 15 years away. Like we still have a little while before things go. I trust Jewish prophecy more than, monkey bark from Arabia. Like I just, no.
Yeah, but you don't even believe in Noahide. You're just using it as 4D chess.
Yeah, so
And what's your real motive? Tell me your real motive. That's what I'm interested
my
in.
real motive, so I don't believe that the world has I fought against the no hide laws for 10 years, and I really thought people would understand, and I really thought that it would make sense. And the whole world, and when I say the whole world, I mean the whole world, really turned against me and really, really just threw me the fuck out. And like I lost everything. And I was like, okay, so obviously there's like going to be no resistance against this around here. So I was like, okay, well, I have to do something. So I said, well, I'll just become an accelerationist. I mean, if they're not going to listen, I'll just get it here
What
faster.
What
And
do you mean? Everybody turned against you?
they were just like, shut up or ignored me. And everyone was just like, don't talk or didn't have anything to say to me and stop talking to me.
Because you was against no hide.
Yeah.
And who are these Jews?
Jews, Hindus, Muslims, Buddhists, everybody, everyone, white people, leftists, right-wing people, everybody, the whole world.
Or maybe they just don't really care enough.
Well, they were nasty about it. I started getting threats and stuff. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
They were just being fucked up. And so I just became an accelerationist and I said, okay, well, obviously there's going to be no resistance against this. So I'm just wanted to accelerate and get big and get here faster so people realize what's going on and maybe get motivated